the door few dare to open. Have you ever sat across from someone, maybe a friend, a stranger, or someone you once trusted with your whole heart, and felt something was deeply, inexplicably off? They said all the right things. Their smile was warm, their eyes looked at you, but behind those eyes was nothing. No light, no resonance, no soul, not just a lack of empathy, not emotional immaturity, but a void, a strange hollowness that made you question yourself, a presence that left you feeling exhausted, confused, even spiritually violated. Most people dismiss this feeling. They call it overthinking. But ancient spiritual traditions have a different explanation, one that is both unsettling and liberating. What if I told you that not all who appear human are soul connected? That some beings walk among us wearing the mask of humanity, but lack the divine impulse that makes us truly alive? From Gnostic scripture to Hindu cosmology, from the Tibetan Book of the Dead to modern esoteric psychology, one message has echoed across time. There are beings among us who imitate life, but do not carry its essence. They may be intelligent, charming, even spiritual on the surface, but they do not create, they do not evolve, they do not connect in the way you do because they were never meant to. In this video, we'll dive into this ancient and controversial truth, the soulless human. We'll explore who they are, why they're here, how to recognize them, and most importantly, how to protect your light without closing your heart. Because the final chapter, it reveals the most dangerous kind of mimicry happening around you right now. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. Let's begin. Not all who look human are. There's an unsettling truth whispered across ancient texts, mystical traditions, and spiritual teachings from east to west. Not every being that walks in human form is soul-connected. In Gnostic scripture, they are called counterfeit spirits. In Taoist and Vedic cosmology, they take the form of asuras, beings that resemble us but operate from a fundamentally different essence. This idea isn't meant to inspire fear. It's meant to awaken discernment. Because what if some who look like us, who speak like us, dress like us, and live among us were never truly meant to evolve as we do? What if beneath the surface charm, intelligence, or kindness, there is no spiritual thread connecting them to the divine? This is not about religion. This is about energetic design, about the invisible architecture of soul and the absence thereof. It's about recognizing that the human form is not proof of spiritual embodiment, that biology and soul are not one and the same. Modern psychology often avoids such questions, focusing instead on behaviors, trauma, and conditioning. But thinkers like Carl Jung approach them carefully and symbolically. He warned that the greatest threat to civilization wasn't some monstrous external force, but the unconscious individual. He spoke of the shadow self, the disowned parts of ourselves we fail to integrate. Yet in rare cases, he implied, some may be so disconnected from inner awareness, so hollowed of reflective capacity, that integration itself is impossible. No moral center, no spark of divine conscience, no light. In spiritual terms, these are not people who have lost their soul. They are those who may have never had one to begin with. Their essence is not asleep, it is simply absent. This sounds shocking, even cruel, but the purpose here is not judgment. It is protection. It's not about dehumanizing others. It's about realizing that not all expressions of humanity are spiritually equal in depth, resonance, or purpose. Some beings are not here to evolve, but to imitate, to mirror, reflect, and absorb. And the sooner we accept that possibility, the more clearly we can protect what matters most: our energy, our clarity, our soul integrity. In esoteric teachings, especially from Rudolf Steiner and G.I. Gurdjieff, we are warned of mechanical humans. These are not science fiction androids. They are very real people whose lives are run not by inner presence, but by automatic programming. They react instead of reflect. They perform instead of feel. They survive by imitation, not inspiration. They can be highly successful. They may lead companies, write books, teach spirituality, or even appear deeply empathetic. But underneath it all, something critical is missing: a sense of soul-led awareness. There is no inner compass toward growth, humility, or communion. It is all mask, all echo, all performance. And this is what makes soullessness so dangerous. It doesn't announce itself with cruelty or darkness. It enters with charm, with a warm smile, with the right words at the right moment. It wears the costume of compassion, the language of love, the gestures of empathy, But when you look deeper, there is nothing behind the curtain. So, how do we recognize it? Not by outer signs, not by credentials, not by charisma, but by energetic signature, by how they make you feel, not in the moment, but after the moment. Think of the last time you spoke to someone who seemed perfectly pleasant. Their tone was sweet, their compliments were kind, but as you walked away, you felt oddly empty, off, confused, like your clarity had been smudged, like your light had dimmed a little. That sensation is not paranoia, it is your soul's warning system. True soulfulness carries a frequency that grounds you, expands you, and makes you feel more real, not less. It slows your heartbeat. It softens your defenses. It fills the room without trying. It doesn't seek admiration, it seeks truth. It speaks not just through words, but through vibration. Soulless beings, by contrast, leave a trail of energetic noise. Their words are bright, but their presence is gray. Their laughter is loud, but their eyes are quiet. Their timing is perfect, but their energy is hollow. They may cry, but the tears dry quickly. They may say they care, but it never lands. Their performances are rehearsed to precision, but the resonance is missing. And that is the key. Soulful connection grounds you. Soulless mimicry disorients you. It's not about analyzing their behavior, it's about listening to your body's intelligence. Did your breath shallow when they entered the room? Did your thoughts scatter? Did your inner peace leave quietly without you noticing? The mystic Meister Eckhart once said, "Some people may go through life with the appearance of light, but only those who shine from within are truly lit." This is not about fear, it's about discernment. Not everyone who speaks of light carries it. Some only reflect it, using the light of others to cast the illusion of illumination. And once you recognize that difference, you will never unsee it. You must learn to discern not by sound, but by silence, not by smiles, but by vibration. Look beyond the mask. Listen to the gap between words. Trust what your energy tells you long before your logic catches up, because your soul knows. It always has. And when it speaks, you must learn to listen. Signs of the soulless. Emotional mimicry without essence. In spiritual traditions across cultures, the soul is not simply a metaphysical idea. It is the foundation of what makes us truly human. The soul allows us to feel, grow, reflect, and evolve in consciousness. Without it, we may appear alive, but something crucial is missing. And yet, there are those who walk among us who seem to function outwardly like everyone else, but do not respond to life with depth or inner resonance. The distinction between a soul-led individual and a soulless one is subtle, but unmistakable to those who learn how to sense it. It lies not in appearance, intelligence, or social status, but in energetic quality. Persistent emotional flatness. Soulful beings respond to the rhythms of life: birth, death, music, beauty, and even silence. They cry at acts of kindness. They tremble at injustice. Their emotions are not performative. They are spontaneous and deeply rooted. Soulless individuals, by contrast, may simulate these responses with impressive surface-level accuracy, but their expressions often lack emotional weight. Their smiles can seem empty, their sorrow too brief, their excitement oddly rehearsed. It's not that they show no emotion, but that the emotion lacks substance. Spiritual teachings have long warned about such beings. In the Tibetan Book of the Dead, it is said that one must learn to distinguish between the clear light of true being and the deceptive lights of illusion. Those who do not possess the inner light may imitate spiritual or emotional states, but they cannot access their deeper essence. In modern neuroscience, Dr. Antonio Damasio showed that individuals with emotional disconnect due to brain injury lose not only their ability to feel, but also the ability to make ethical decisions. In his book, Descartes' Error, he emphasizes that emotion is central to both morality and identity. Thus, the inability to feel is not merely a personality flaw, it is an existential void. From a spiritual view, this inability to respond authentically to beauty, grief, or awe suggests that the energetic structure of the soul is absent or disconnected. Their expressions of emotion become simulations, well-timed but empty. Absence of genuine empathy. Empathy is more than feeling sorry for someone. It is the internal resonance that occurs when your soul acknowledges another's suffering or joy as if it were your own. In that moment, the boundary between self and other dissolves, because the soul is always reaching for unity. Soulless beings may intellectually understand what empathy looks like, and may even mirror the correct words or facial expressions, but they do not actually feel with others. Their gaze is flat, their timing is off, their reactions are disconnected from the emotional temperature of the moment. This is not simply a failure of communication, it is the absence of spiritual attunement. In Kabbalistic mysticism, the quality of rachamim, compassion, is viewed as one of the highest expressions of divine light within the soul. Without it, there is no bridge between spirit and action. A person without this emanation becomes self-contained, relationally hollow. Psychological studies in empathy erosion, such as those by Dr. Simon Baron-Cohen, suggest that a lack of empathy is not just antisocial, it is deeply pathological. These individuals exhibit 0 degrees of empathy, meaning they do not experience or recognize emotional resonance in others. From a soul-based perspective, this absence isn't just psychological, it's ontological. Their inner world may lack the structure that facilitates deep emotional reflection. Manipulative behavior as a core pattern. Soulless individuals do not form relationships to connect, they form them to control. Their behavior is not random, it is strategic. They know how to say the right things, perform acts of affection, and mirror the values of those around them. But the purpose is not love, it is leverage. They manipulate by default through gaslighting, emotional coercion, guilt tripping, and charisma. They create false narratives to maintain an image or influence outcomes. And when caught in a lie, their apologies often feel hollow, crafted to diffuse conflict, not to express remorse. Why? Because remorse requires internal moral recognition, something the soulless lack. In the Gnostic texts, such as the Pistis Sophia, these beings are described as counterfeit spirits, entities that appear human but are empty of divine essence. They are described as mimics whose words are like honey on the outside but ashes within. Modern psychology aligns with this in its description of high-level narcissism and sociopathy. These individuals may intellectually understand morality, but they do not embody it. Dr. Martha Stout in The Sociopath Next Door notes that such individuals live without the burden of conscience. They are not tormented by wrongdoing, only by being exposed. This is not simply evil, it is emotional and spiritual emptiness in action. No capacity for moral or emotional growth. A soul-led person, when faced with mistakes, reflects, regrets, and evolves. Growth is intrinsic to the soul's journey. Even through failure, the soul expands. But the soulless do not learn from mistakes, not because they're stubborn, but because they are not internally structured for growth. They can adapt behaviors, but they don't transform. They change tactics, not character. Their apologies are performative. Their personal development is cosmetic. When confronted, they may say, "I've changed," but the change is surface level. The same patterns repeat. In Buddhist cosmology, there are beings known as pretas, or hungry ghosts, creatures who are forever longing, but can never be satisfied. These beings represent the spiritual condition of endless consumption without evolution. They move from relationship to relationship, job to job, identity to identity, but they remain empty. Soulless individuals embody this archetype. They lack the inner mirror required for self-realization. Without it, there is no growth, only recycling of behaviors. Energetic mismatch, what you feel after they leave. The final and perhaps most telling sign of a soulless person is not what they say or do, but how you feel in their presence and after they leave. Soulful people may challenge you, but they leave you feeling more whole, more grounded, seen. Soulless beings often leave behind a residue of confusion, self-doubt, or exhaustion. You may walk away wondering, why do I feel drained? Or why am I questioning my worth? This is your energetic intelligence speaking. Spiritual traditions often speak of discernment as a vibration, not an idea. In the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu wrote, "Those who speak of virtue but do not embody it unsettle the room." The soulless cannot hold stillness because stillness reflects their lack. They need noise, motion, admiration, and conflict to simulate vitality. But once you've been around a truly soulful person, someone who radiates calm, depth, and silent truth, you'll never mistake the mimic again. Energetic drain, how the soulless feed. One of the most mysterious yet consistent observations about soulless individuals is the draining effect they have on others, not just emotionally, but energetically. People often report feeling depleted, confused, anxious, or even spiritually foggy, after spending time with someone who, on the surface, seemed perfectly normal. These reactions are not imaginary. In fact, they are often your soul's quiet warning. You've been in the presence of someone who takes but never gives, someone who doesn't generate light but feeds off the light of others. They do not generate energy, they extract it. In many Eastern traditions, the soul, or subtle life force, is seen as a source of energetic nourishment. In Chinese medicine, it's called Shen. In yoga, it's Atman, or prana. This energy flows through those who are soul connected, allowing them to uplift, inspire, heal, and hold space for others. But for those disconnected from the soul, this energy is inaccessible. They cannot create it, so they learn to absorb it. This absorption is rarely conscious. They may not know they're doing it, but the effects are unmistakable. The person on the receiving end feels exhausted, diminished, or spiritually dimmed. In esoteric teachings, such beings are often referred to as energy parasites or spiritual voids. Evelyn Underhill in Mysticism contrasts true mystics who radiate inner light with those who pull light toward themselves but give nothing back. Psychologically, this mirrors narcissistic and codependent dynamics, but spiritually, it runs deeper. They don't just need attention, they need your life force to temporarily simulate wholeness. They thrive in chaos, conflict, and attention. Soulless individuals often leave a trail of drama, confusion, and subtle destruction in their wake, not always from malice, but from necessity. Why? Because emotional chaos is fuel. They feed off of reactions: your anger, your pain, your confusion, your over-explaining, even your silent tolerance. These responses release energy, and they consume it. In social settings, they dominate attention through charm, controversy, or by playing the victim. If ignored, they may provoke subtle conflict through veiled insults, guilt trips, or boundary testing. The goal isn't peace, it's extraction. G.I. Gurdjieff spoke of mechanical humans, those not connected to conscious will or soul. He warned that such individuals survive by drawing energy from others. His antidote? Self-observation. Pay attention to how your energy changes in someone's presence. That shift, more than their words, reveals the truth. If you walk away clearer, stronger, more you, you've encountered someone grounded in soul. If you walk away confused, drained, or doubting yourself, you've likely met someone who feeds off your light. Discernment isn't judgment, it's protection. Not all who smile nourish you. Not all who cry feel deeply. Not all who stand close walk with a soul. Guard your light and trust your body. It remembers what your mind forgets. Words that say light but carry no frequency. One of the most disorienting traits of the soulless is their use of spiritual language. They speak of love, healing, compassion, awakening. They say all the right things, but something doesn't land. Their voice may be calm, but it leaves you anxious. Their message may sound uplifting, but your body tightens. You want to trust them, yet something inside whispers no. That whisper is not paranoia. It's your energetic intelligence, your soul, detecting a frequency mismatch. The lie of false light. In the Zohar mystical text of Kabbalah, it warns, false light is more dangerous than darkness, because darkness is obvious, you can see it, but false light pretends to be medicine. It lures you in with softness, with spiritual jargon, with empathy that feels just a little off. This is what makes soulless individuals so confusing. They may quote spiritual teachings, they may lead healing circles or speak at conscious events, but behind the words is no resonance, no vibrational signature of truth, only a mask. People who encounter them often say, they sounded right, but I felt wrong. They smiled, but I didn't feel safe. They talked about light, but I left feeling heavy. That is soul-level discernment, not logic. Your nervous system doesn't lie. Stillness exposes the void. The most revealing test? Silence. Stillness. True soul connection can rest in quiet. There is no need to impress, convince, or perform. In stillness, the soul expands. But the soulless, they cannot endure stillness because silence exposes what they lack. So they fill the void with chatter, with criticism, with stories, with noise. Because in the absence of motion, there is nothing. And that nothing terrifies them. In Buddhist practice, advanced monks train not only to still the mind, but to reveal the truth of their being through silence. They know how a person holds quiet is a mirror of their soul. If someone rushes to fill silence, if they fidget, distract, or shift into performance, watch closely. What are they avoiding? Words can lie, energy can't. Your body knows before your mind can explain. Trust that. It is the language of the soul. Because in a world full of imitation light, discernment is not cynicism, it's spiritual survival. They leave a residue of confusion and fatigue. A soul-led person may challenge you, teach you, or push you, but when you leave their presence, you feel expanded. Soulless beings, on the other hand, leave behind a strange residue, emotional fog, second-guessing, guilt, fatigue. It's as if your spirit has been punctured. You may even have trouble sleeping, thinking clearly, or staying grounded after long interactions with them. This is not imagination. In energy healing traditions, this is referred to as aura leakage, when your protective field is weakened by another person's draining influence. Even if no harsh words were spoken, the energetic transaction has occurred. Dr. Judith Orloff, psychiatrist and author of the Empath Survival Guide, calls these individuals energy vampires, noting that many sensitive people suffer physical symptoms, headaches, fatigue, anxiety, after prolonged exposure. The antidote is awareness. Once you recognize this pattern, you can begin to protect your energy more consciously by limiting exposure, by setting clear emotional boundaries, and by strengthening your own energetic field through meditation, nature, and spiritual grounding. They do not choose the light, they survive on the light of others. Soulless individuals cannot create inner light because they lack the source from which light flows. But they are not powerless. They have learned to survive by siphoning, by appearing helpful, by sounding spiritual, by imitating love. But imitation is not embodiment. And for those who are soul aware, the difference becomes obvious, not always through the ears, but through the body, spirit, and vibration. If you walk away dimmed instead of brighter, pay attention. Why they're here and what you must do. If soulless beings exist, and the evidence across spiritual and psychological traditions suggests they do, then a deeper question must be asked. Why are they here? Surely, in a universe governed by divine intelligence and cosmic law, their presence must serve some function. They're not merely accidents, nor are they punishments. They are, in their own unsettling way, teachers of discernment. While their nature may be hollow, their role is potent. Contrast sharpens clarity. In the ancient Hermetic tradition, there's a teaching known as the principle of polarity, the idea that everything has its opposite, and that through opposition, clarity is born. Just as shadow reveals light, soulless beings reveal what the soul is by showing us what it is not. They force us to feel the distinction between surface charm and inner radiance, between performance and presence, between noise and real stillness. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that the battlefield of life is not just about defeating enemies, but about seeing with spiritual eyes. He says, "What is real cannot be threatened. What is unreal does not exist. In this, truth abides." Soulless people are often masters of illusion. Their presence becomes a spiritual X-ray. In their company, your body reacts before your mind does. You may feel foggy, anxious, unseen, or deeply tired. But over time, if you listen to that inner signal, it becomes your compass. The soulless exist not to break you, but to wake you. They invite you to stop seeking external validation. One of the most dangerous traps soulless individuals set is emotional entanglement through admiration. They reflect your desires, validate your ego, and imitate intimacy. But underneath it all, they are drawing you away from your center. And this is where the lesson lies. The presence of the soulless forces us to anchor in internal knowing. It asks, can you trust your intuition, even when words sound right? Can you walk away from someone who looks perfect but feels wrong? Can you value your own soul's signal more than social signals? Spiritual maturity begins the moment you stop looking outward for permission to act on your inner knowing. In Buddhism, the phrase ehipassiko means come and see for yourself. It invites you to test the truth, not by doctrine, but by experience. Soulless people often speak like prophets, but drain like parasites. Learning to discern the difference is not just a defense mechanism, it's a spiritual initiation. They force you to fortify your energy field energetically. Interacting with a soulless person is like standing in wind without a coat. You might not see the energy being pulled, but you feel its absence when they leave. This is why spiritual traditions have always emphasized energetic hygiene. In the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, practitioners are taught the principle of pratyahara, withdrawal from external stimuli to restore energetic integrity. Similarly, many indigenous cultures use daily rituals like smudging, grounding, and silent reflection to protect their aura. Today, those same practices still work. Begin your day by affirming your energetic boundary. Imagine golden light surrounding you, alive, warm, and conscious. Avoid oversharing with those who feel energetically off. The soulless often collect personal stories not to understand you, but to use you. Don't respond to chaos with explanation. It's bait. Stillness is your power. Your energy is sacred. The more you treat it as such, the more invisible you become to those who seek to siphon it. Don't try to save them. Save yourself. One of the most difficult spiritual truths is this: not everyone is here to awaken. This doesn't mean we lose compassion. It means we stop wasting it. Soulless individuals are not wounded healers. They are not secretly sensitive beings waiting for love to crack them open. That's wishful thinking, and it keeps lightworkers trapped in toxic cycles. In A Course in Miracles, it's written, "You cannot give the light to someone who refuses to see." The purpose of light is to guide your path, not to force open the eyes of those who are spiritually sealed. Trying to awaken a soulless person drains your power and delays your growth. Let go of the rescue mission. Focus on clarity, boundaries, and presence. When you shine, they will either retreat or attack. Either way, you will see clearly. Your role is to radiate, not react. Ultimately, your response to the soulless is your soul's statement of identity. You are not here to mirror their manipulation, fight their illusions, or become tangled in their chaos. You are here to embody what they are not: presence, authenticity, stillness, discernment, and compassion with boundaries. This is the higher path, not spiritual bypassing, but spiritual sovereignty. When you are grounded in your own frequency, you don't need to convince anyone of anything. Your energy speaks, your presence teaches, and your stillness protects. As the mystic poet Rumi once said, "Don't get lost in their storm. Let them get lost in your silence." The light only they cannot touch. So what have we truly uncovered today? That not everyone who walks, smiles, or speaks like us is alive in the same way. That soulfulness isn't defined by words or appearances, but by presence, by resonance, by energy. Soulless beings are not myth. They are not just literary metaphors. They're real, and they are closer than we think. They exist not in some distant corner of the world, but often in our families, our workplaces, our spiritual circles. And yet, here's the deeper truth. They cannot steal your soul. They cannot extinguish your light. They only draw from what we give away unknowingly through fear, doubt, or misplaced trust. But the moment you become aware, the moment you feel instead of explain, and stand instead of chase, they lose access. You are the guardian of your energy. Your soul is not fragile. It is sacred. It is made of something that cannot be replicated, imitated, or controlled. And perhaps the most ironic gift of all, the more soulless beings you encounter, the more deeply you learn how to live with soul, to protect your peace, to stand in discernment, to love without leaking. So now I ask you, if something in today's message helped you see clearly, if it named a feeling you've carried but never understood, share this video with someone who needs it. You may help them walk away from what's been draining them for years. And in the comments, I want to hear from you. Have you ever sensed that eerie emptiness in someone's presence? What did your body know before your mind caught up? This is awakened wisdom, where ancient truth meets modern discernment. You are not crazy. You are not alone. You are awakening. I'll see you in the next chapter.